Hi, you made it to my channel, Niche Gaming. I'm gonna show all of the logging footage, essentially, all the tasks, and just show you how to do this logging and the best way to do it. There are some cheats and exploits. I don't use those, so mine is a little more straightforward. If it's 3 trips, then it's 3 trips. Trying to speed it up by using exploits, I don't agree with that personally, so I didn't do it that way. But you start out with the timber for the locals. I of course had my Kodiak C70 as my log crane operator, log crane truck. I had it wherever I had the log station. So I had it set up, ready to go, bring my truck there. You have to load 3 of the logs, and they have to load them quite neatly as possible. Whenever you're doing logging, is that's for medium logs or long logs or whatever. You have to load it in where it's supposed to be. So in this, it's the rear frame, and of course you have to have this first. You have to have the front logging frame with this Pacific P16. And of course you have to have the rear log trailer that you get from the trailer store. You have to buy that from the trailer store. And when you're done with Michigan, of course I sell it out because they sell for half. That's my New Game Plus setting. But you do have to buy this trailer if you're going to do long logging, and you have to do long logging. So what you do is put in 3 long logs, load them. You can see that in probably my Kodiak C70. I've skipped over a lot of that here, but you only need 3 logs to be loaded into the area quite neatly, and it just stacks as soon as you hit pack cargo, and it doesn't pack with more than 3. You can only put 3. It's not going to pack 2 or more or 4. Adding more than 3 doesn't help. Adding less than 3 doesn't help. The 3 have to be packed, and they have to be put in to the area where the entire pack is going to show up. So that kind of just skips that part. It doesn't make you load all of them like you would in real life. You'd be loading all of the long logs. But I will say that in real life, one thing you note is you're going to have crane operators that are much better than the crane operators they give you. Much better for loading logs, and they do it a lot faster. It's very annoying and tedious to do. The way the logs are set up is the small logging crane. So later on you probably have access to better loading cranes even in the game, but in real life you never use such a pathetic crane. It just takes forever. There's a lot of tediousness to it. So yeah, but you have to load 3, load them nice and neat, not one stacked over the other, just nice and neat next to each other. Don't have to be perfect, but pretty close to it. And once you're nice and neat there, 3 pretty much even set up properly, you really have to learn how to use the logging crane, so that's very important. Once you load it, very simple. It's one of the reasons why you want to do a lot of the tasks before you get to the logging. So you want to build a bridge first and do all of these other tasks, and pretty much when you're done with all of Black River, a lot of these tasks that the truck needs. So in order to deliver logs to the drilling site in Black River, it's going to need that bridge to be built, the wooden bridge. So you want to have all these things ready. Another thing that I did, because I wanted to speed through, because I'm going to show all 3 log transports. So for example, timber for the locals, it says you need to have 3 long logs delivered to the lumber mill. Well, one, I skipped through a lot of parts, and I even go at 5 times speed just to show some of the main parts and where I'm going. But I really only try to show one of the transports, because the second or third time you may even use a different path, though I really didn't in most cases, but you may use a slightly different path. But still, I only showed the first transport. That was the main transport. I did show the second one and third one, but I increased the speed to 5 times. Apologize if it hurts your eyes. I don't think it should, but maybe it goes a little fast. I just wanted to just speed through it as much as possible because it is repetitive, and I didn't want to show too much repetitive content. Just wanted to show the main one time, show how you do it, this is how it gets done. The second and third time is just tedious. Same thing over and over again, 2 times, 3 times. However many long log transports that it takes. And again, I don't use cheats and exploits where you can toss like 3, 6, or 9 long logs in maybe a sideboard trailer perhaps, and then bring it to the location. You'll still need like 3 trucks, so it's not really more efficient, but maybe just less tedious, I guess. It doesn't really matter to me. I just have my things set up there, have my logging crane truck sitting there, and this is my long log truck, and of course the P12 was my medium log truck. So now I began doing but still need another long log, but I'm going to start delivering. What I did is either maybe I completed the medium logs for the timber for the locals, but that doesn't concern my Pacific P16 because it's only going to do the long log transports. So I just moved to the next one, and the next one that I have to do is logs to the workers. Now you do have to note that where you're going to get your long logs from. In the Michigan map, there are only really 2 places where you get them. You can get the long logs from this area in Black River, and you can also get it from Drummond Island, near the end where right next to the entrance from Drummond Island and Island Lake. That's at the opposite side of Drummond Island. So those are only 2 places where you can get long logs. Those are log stations. You can't get it from Smithville Dam and you can't get it from Island Lake. They both have medium logging, but these are the only 2 stations in all of Michigan that will have long logs available. Going all the way to Drummond Island, and then I have to take my log crane truck as well, so I have to move the C70. It's going to have to travel there and back. So anything in Smithville Dam that requires long logs, it's going to be done with this truck. And there's no long logs required for Drummond Island. There are for Island Lake, but I'll do that much later once I get to that. So for these 2, for logs to the workers, where you have to deliver to the quarry and you have to deliver to the drilling site of Smithville Dam, I get these long logs from Black River because the other option is to get it all the way from Drummond Island. This way, it's mostly on road as well, and my trucks are already here. So I steadily move my trucks to the next part as is needed, because I'll need that log crane truck as well. It's not like I can just go there and load. Well, you can, but it costs money to do auto load, and I don't do auto load. That's consistent with all of my material loading. I always use the crane that I have for any of my trucks. I'm just against auto loading unless it has to be done, and there's just no other option. Last ditch restore, kind of like recovering. I'm not going to recover a truck unless there's just no option because it's too costly. And I made it more extra costly for the same reason. I think I did auto loading it 4 times in my playthrough, my new game plus settings, and recover also 4 times. It's made it super expensive to discourage myself from ever auto loading or recovering my truck unless, again, there's just no other option. Now for this second go around, to get to up until that same part in Smithville Dam, obviously I'm going to speed through this part and really all the way to where you make the turn to head towards the drilling site in Smithville Dam. Even though it's on 5 times speed, do note that I am using a different route than I did for the last one. And you can easily use this route. That's no big deal. In fact, there's still 2 more runs. There's another contract besides logs for the workers that requires another long log load that has to be taken all the way to the other side of Smithville Dam. I'll be using this one over the water. Now this truck can get away with it because it has such good tires. This is where the mud tires really shine, even without all-wheel drive. That's a big thing. Even without all-wheel drive, this truck can handle going through this heavy watery area where you basically cross the river here. That's how good these tires are. 3.5 rating according to Map Runner in the mud. And that's why it can handle going through this with such heavy load. And even actually one of my wheels is damaged. And I have to get that replaced to the service trailer or however you get it fixed. So even with that, this truck can still handle going through the river. And I just wanted to show that you can use this route as well. So we're done with the logs to the workers, did all the long log requirements. And now you're gonna get this timber at arm's reach. This has a lot of different locations that need logs delivered to them. So right now, since we're only gonna handle the long logs with this guy, all we have to do is take it to Norton's house. That's Smithville Dam location. We're not gonna do the Island Lake ones because, again, Island Lake, sometimes you have to do certain contracts and assignments that you can't do other parts because it's just you'll have to move too many of your trucks. So once we're done with the long logs for this Norton's house, then we're going to take this guy straight to Drummond Island and set him up there once the other trucks are ready to set up. So I would just take him to Drummond Island where the long log station is, have him fully fueled and everything. Obviously you have to set everything up. You have to take the Kodiak C70 or whichever truck you're using as your log crane truck. You have to take that to the log station, to the appropriate log stations. That's going to take time, and you want to move your trucks kind of together as a fleet as much as is possible to get all the stuff done so they can support each other and help each other. Now I'm doing 5 times speed here because I've showed already these parts, already taking the long logs through these at 2 times speed. That's what I do normally, show all my footage at 2 times speed, but here I did 5 times because I've been through a lot of this, so the repetitive stuff is kind of skipped through it that way. I don't like to cut the footage because that's what I'm showing here, essentially how this truck handles carrying these logs through these long distances. But there's a long distance you're going to have to refuel here. I already have all my stuff set up in Smithville Dam. Of course, all my trucks and repair trucks and everything there. Now in the between, obviously, it's not like I'm only doing logging with this truck at this stage of my playthrough. Obviously, I'm doing medium logs and trying to finish as much of the assignments as possible. All the part of the contracts that require long logs, that's what I'm focusing on in this video. I actually skipped through that part. I had to cut it because basically I took a wrong turn off the bridge. I almost tipped over, but I didn't actually tip over. I just kind of got stuck in the mud. Actually, to save myself from tipping over, I had to turn right and eventually turned into the mud and got stuck. And it was a nightmare to get myself out, but I did get myself out after a lot of winching and everything else. Now, since I no longer need any long log transport, I've obviously checked all of my contracts and know everything else in for Michigan. And just no more further contracts requiring long logs. I sell the trailer, so I have less baggage with me to take. Sell the rear log trailer for half the price back because of my new Game Plus settings. Not going to get the full price because, I think that's cheating. The trailers don't cost you anything. You can buy and sell trailers in real life as well. Obviously, they're not going to sell for full price, and depending on their condition and everything. The game doesn't get into that, but I just do a standard simple half. Same thing with trucks. You sell them at half the price. Trailers, you sell at half the price. So you do have to take any truck where you have to change your frame add-ons, internal add-ons, you're going to have to take it back to the garage to do that. Change it to the high saddle trailer. And I need to get this construction rig semi-trailer. This is the last or second to last part, or I think third to last part. This is main job. I'm going to handle two parts of this task, but mainly this one is to get this construction rig semi-trailer all the way from the port of the Drummond Island. This is one of those last on the list of tasks. Once you're done with all the logging, you don't need it anymore, then you come back and do this out with the old. Now this next turn, or this route, there's only two routes to get to the drilling site of the Smithville Dam from Drummond Island. Either you take the long way on the road, and I would recommend for most you just take that way. I took a big risk here. Even when I was doing it, I was like, oh, should I go this way? Oh, too late. Now I can't really turn back. So I was regretting it, not because I couldn't do it or this truck can handle it. This truck is that good. But going across the river here, there's only two routes across the river. One, obviously, over the bridge, the built road and everything. But that's a much longer way across to get to the drilling site. This is a far more direct way in terms of distance, but you have to be so careful the way you turn. For most beginners, I would not recommend it. This is not easy. One tip over, you don't have a lot of real estate to drive on when you're on those rocks, essentially. So of course, you never ever do this in real life. God, it would be insane and stupid. Even this turn right here, I mean, just to get to that area, because you can't go through the trees. There's too many log stumps and trees. You have to go to this highly sloped. I was thinking I was going to tip right over to the right here. So very, very risky. Here I was regretting. I was like, maybe I took a wrong turn here. But this is how stable this truck is. Even with all this weight, its own weight, almost sliding to the right, just barely. The rocks are kind of there, both to annoy you and get in your way, but also to stop you from maybe tipping over. You have to know exactly where you're going. You have to be very, very careful and patient here. If it's not moving the way you need to move it, then take it back a little bit, go nice and slow. But this is the only direct way. The other way is to go all the way across the roads from Drummond Island back to where the Smithville Dam main bridge is, over the actual Smithville Dams. Here you're trying to go across the river, essentially where the rocks are, where you've done across the river with other trucks, but not with this kind of heavy cargo. So to take a construction rig semi-trailer, it's very risky. I wouldn't recommend you do it, but you can do it. And I did do it. Now again, it was the second time where I was second guessing actually my decision. So you could go from the right area, but that's a little too sloped. I was afraid I might tip over, so I ended up going through this area. But the problem here is there's a lot of tree stumps here, as well as trees. Either the truck is getting stuck or the rig semi-trailer, it's getting stuck. Any way you look at it, this is very tough to get across here. Lots of ways to get stuck, but I figured the other way, where you normally drop in, that way would be too difficult, so I tried it this way. Going through here does have this disadvantage, but it is the more direct route, because you have to go a long way around. And those roads are quite windy, so I was afraid maybe there wouldn't be enough room, but there is enough room. You can do it that way. That would be the normal way to complete this task, but you can complete it like this. Just be ready to think outside the box here. Like here, the wheels are up because of the bump that you're going over. The rig semi-trailer is kind of on the bump and the truck is not, so you're just gonna have to do it this way. So to get creative, find some way you can do it. It is very difficult, but can be done. I would still recommend take the longer way. You'll feel a little more comfortable, I think. So that's it. That's all I have. This was my demonstration of basically all this truck can handle. This truck can handle quite a bit and really helps you complete a lot of your tasks. This is what the logging and also even some high saddle trailer transport is like with the Pacific P16. This guy's a beast and he really helps you complete so much in Michigan. Invaluable truck for your Michigan fleet. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give me a like, share, subscribe. Thank you.